Hey, what's going on, everyone? Just posted outside a random Fred Meyer gas station. It's a great white stoke coming at you from the great white north. It's looking like spring is starting to arrive here. Wanted to ring in on the subject of public school versus homeschool. And I did a video earlier, but I got a little heated in that video, so I want to redo it, take it down a notch. And I will say this, that there are many, many people with fond memories of their public school days. But most of those people commenting about the public school days lived in an America that was more culturally, racially homogenous than it is today. Furthermore, the quality of education was much more than it is today. Because in my opinion, from my perspective, public schools these days is little more than a government subsidized babysitting institution where people send their most precious possession, their children, to go be supervised and lorded over by government employees who don't really have their best interests in mind, despite what they might posit on their Facebook and LinkedIn pages. Furthermore, children are being exposed to classism, racism, being bullied, and they don't have their parents there to put things into perspective. Now, maybe you are well off and your children are able to go to school and the finest Nikes and Gap clothes available, but there are some people who aren't able to pay for such fineries, and their children are subjected to bullying and classism from kids that, really are just dirtbags, even if they have parents making, six figures a year. And that's not even counting the bullying being promoted by the system now, where if you're a white kid, you're automatically racist, and you've got hordes of brown kids that have no allegiance to America or your children who are more than willing to be violent. I grew up in a tiny agricultural hamlet where you went to preschool, kindergarten, elementary, junior high, and high school with the same group of folks. And even though you didn't hang out with them, you tacitly knew who they were. Those days are long gone. I remember living in Hollister for a brief minute where I was the only white kid that spoke English. And it was filled with Mexican kids who spoke no English, and they were violent towards me. And now, looking back at what's going on now, just in that tiny town, you have 8-year-olds getting stabbed in the neck with pencils, and you've got one kid who was bullied so bad, and the administration and fellow teachers did nothing about it. He felt so concerned about his physical safety, he brought a knife, and when he was pushed over the edge, he ended up stabbing the violent bully. And what happened? Well, the family of the child that was stabbed, they went out there and tried to sue the school. The kid that did the stabbing, right, he got written up, and I believe he did some jail time, right? And the kid that was stabbed, after he was, repaired for free at the local hospital, he went on to rob a local liquor store. I mean, we're talking about just stellar specimens of society being allowed to matriculate in school. So if you have a choice, you should pull your children out of these schools and homeschool your children. They've done studies where children that are homeschooled retain the culture and views of their parents. I mean, how often do we hear about just the lamentation of parents who send their kids to college who come back as tattooed, pierced, blue-haired Marxists. And that's who's in the school these days. That's who the teachers are. The teachers are commie Marxists who are childless themselves, which is creepy when you think about it. The childless want to be in charge of your children and then change the way they think. They want to discuss gender and say that it's fluid. They want to teach them about sex and how to pleasure themselves. And then you have, teachers being busted with child porn or going after their own students. It's ridiculous. Frankly, you need to pull your children out of these commie Marxist institutions and school them yourselves. It's not that hard. In fact, they've got programs that help you do it. I'm teaching my son how to read, write, and do math, and he's already reading at above his level. So take it for what it's worth. If you're concerned as a parent, pull your kids out of school. The whole argument of, well, they have friends. Really, how many elementary, junior high, and high school people are you talking to? Maybe if you don't travel and you've stayed in your town for your entire life, or maybe you have a few, but for the majority of people, you don't have friends. You have acquaintances. And people need to learn that difference too. What a friend is and what an acquaintance is. Because they're not the same. What do you think? Hope you're doing well out there. L'chaim and mazel tov.